I am so excited about this video because you guys have been asking for my top drugstore foundations for quite a while now, and it's finally here. I have several different types of foundations sitting here in front of me. I didn't realize that until I started getting everything together. This is actually the first top foundations video where I have a distinct top 3. I also have a couple of runners up, and there's reasons for that. This is also the first top foundations video that has a sponsor, which is kind of exciting. Walmart is sponsoring this video, which fits in perfectly because you can buy all of these at Walmart or on walmart.com if you choose to do so. Their beauty department is very extensive, and they also offer free 2-day shipping for purchases of $35 or more on any type of product you want to purchase. So with that said, I'm going to get started on this video. I am not going in any particular order just because, I don't know, it's just kind of fun to mix things up. Now, you may see that some foundations that you love are not in this video, and if you want to ask me about them, ask me in the comments below. I may have tried some of them and not really like them. You can search my channel for that, but if you want to see my thoughts on a particular foundation, just feel free to ask about that. So the first foundation that I'm going to talk about is a foundation that I used to use quite a lot. It's actually not a foundation, it is a BB cream, but it functions like a foundation. They've had a packaging change quite recently, and for some reason this kind of fell off my radar. It's just been in my drawer, and other foundations have kind of been used more often than this one. But this is one that definitely needs to go back into my rotation. This is the Covergirl Clean Matte BB Cream for oily skin. I think they still make a different version of this for dry or normal skin. I'm not sure, but this one is really great. I do need to tell you my skin type before I get into all of this. I just realized I'm 44 years old. I have combination skin with an oily T-zone that I do kind of have to make sure stays in check during the day. I also have very sensitive skin. I have rosacea that can flare up very quickly if I use the wrong products. And I live in New Orleans. It is super hot and humid most of the year here. So that's another thing I kind of have to watch. All of those factors can make a difference when trying foundations. This is a BB cream. There are less shades in this foundation than others. There are only 6 shades, but they're kind of self-adjusting to be able to go up or down a few skin tones depending on the shade that you get. I am in the shade 530. In the middle of the summer, I can use shade 540. So this is a water-based BB cream, but I don't have an issue when I use it with my usual silicone-based primers. I don't know why. And I do usually use primers underneath all of my foundations, and I do set them with powder. You may vary with that depending on your skin type, and note that with all of these, because I have used them so much, I have used them with various primers and powders, and if there's any kind of a weird issue with a primer or powder, I'll let you know. This gives solid medium coverage like a foundation, and it applies super quickly no matter how I apply it, and it's really good with oil control, but I don't feel like it looks super matte to where it looks like a mask. It's not flat, it's just kind of a soft matte look. It's really beautiful on the skin, and it makes my pores look great. It lasts all day, and I love the portability of this packaging. This really used to be one of my favorite products to wear. This is in my top 3 for sure, and I have been pulling it out and reaching for it more. It's great. If you have oily combination or normal skin, I think you would really love this BB cream. And I think the name BB cream is misleading. It's more of a medium coverage foundation that's really thin and looks really natural on the skin. I think I'm going to go ahead and mention my 2 honorable mentions right now. It just feels right. I probably should have mentioned these in the beginning. I know a lot of people really love these, but I don't reach for these quite as much as I do my top favorites, because I feel like in the dead of summer, they don't work as well for me in my oily T-zone. I do have more breakthrough shine with these, although they do look really beautiful on the skin when I first apply them. So I think if you don't live in as hot or as humid of a climate as I do, or maybe if you have more normal skin, these will really work for you, and they are still really beautiful. So if I'm not, necessarily outside in humidity, or if it's, a different time of year, I really do like them. The first honorable mention is the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation. This is one that I do have a foundation review on, and I'll link any videos that any of these are in down below. I'll try and put pictures up if I'm wearing these in the corner somewhere, and if I don't have a picture or a video I can insert, I'll try and link the video. There are 30 shades in this foundation. It does give medium to medium full coverage, and it is long wearing. I actually ended up sleeping in this and it lasted all night long on my skin. I mean, it wore away a little bit, but it didn't feel gross on my skin. And you can see that in that video. It's supposed to be sweat resistant, humidity resistant, water resistant, and all that. I don't really find that to be true, at least not on my skin type. I do get kind of shiny with it, more so than I guess, you know, someone with normal skin would, or maybe someone who didn't live in the humid environment that I do. And this is supposed to be good for all skin types, but I do find that, you know, I get shiny with it. But other than that, it looks really beautiful on the skin. It does feel really nice on the skin. It does last a long time if it's not super humid outside. I think it looks really natural. I don't think it's the best foundation I've ever worn on my pores, but I've talked about this with you guys before. I think skin is supposed to have pores, and I don't necessarily think that a foundation that doesn't blur the pores is a bad foundation. I think that foundations that look like skin, that actually just show your pores, that don't emphasize your pores, but that just show your pores, I think that they can look really nice. And this is one of those foundations. It doesn't mask the pores, but it doesn't emphasize them either. And I don't know, I still think it looks really nice on the skin. So this is a good one. This is an honorable mention. The second honorable mention for me is the Revlon Candid foundation, and I talked about this in my drugstore dupes video. There are 31 shades. I do love the packaging of this way more than this one. I usually am a sucker for a glass bottle with a pump, but I don't really love this lid. I just feel like it doesn't stay on, especially if you travel. It's just gonna pop right off. But this is nice and lightweight. The lid, you know, it stays on a little bit better. It's a squeezy tube with a pump, which is kind of the best of all worlds. This is also very natural looking. It's hydrating. It gives medium coverage, and it's got some protective qualities about it in terms of antioxidants. It's also supposed to be protective from blue light, which is great for those of us who are on our computers, on our devices a lot. And it gives a really pretty finish on the skin as well, very similarly to the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear. It's more of a natural skin finish, but I feel like this one does a little bit more for the pores, for blurring and things like that. But I do have to blot during the day, especially in the middle of the summer when it's really warm outside. My oily T-zone, it just doesn't really hold up for me, but when it's normal outside, I just think this is really pretty on the skin. I think normal skin people, even dry skin people, would really love this foundation. It's just beautiful. If I forget to mention a foundation shade, you can always see those in my description box. I have a link to all of my foundation shades down below. I'm realizing I'm kind of forgetting to say that sometimes. This next foundation I find interesting because I like the outer packaging. I hate the insides of the packaging. And when I think about this brand, I do not think about good packaging. I kind of think they need to rebrand themselves because their packaging overall is just not cohesive. And before I go further, feel free to pause this video and take some guesses in the comments as to what brand I'm talking about. Every time I pass their section in a drugstore, I just wonder what they're thinking with their branding. There's just not a lot of cohesion there. This is the Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation, and I do love the way this looks. It's a really nice heavy glass bottle. It looks great sitting on the vanity. It looks pricier than what it is. There are 24 shades in this foundation. It has hyaluronic acid and all kinds of extracts in it, which is really great for a drugstore foundation. So I'm going to say some good things and some not so good things, but it is still in my top drugstore foundations because overall, I love the way it looks and wears on the skin. It does have light to medium buildable coverage. It applies really quickly and it blurs my skin. It blurs my pores. It makes it look healthy and it feels lightweight. I feel like all of these feel lightweight on the skin. I don't think they would be in this video if they didn't. I just don't like to feel foundation on my skin. It's not too dewy or too matte. It's somewhere in between. I feel like this just looks more expensive than it is all around in terms of the packaging and the way it looks on the skin. And it does last all day. It lasts really well on the skin, which I don't usually expect from a non-matte foundation. I don't know why. There are plenty of non-matte foundations that do last a long time on the skin. I have another one in this video. Con number one of this foundation, The doe foot applicator. Can someone tell me the rationale of this with the foundation? Because to me, all it does is make you take twice as long when you're applying your foundation. You have to keep re-dipping and applying, re-dipping and applying. I get it for a concealer, but for a foundation, it just doesn't make any sense. And this foundation is too thick to pour it out onto the back of your hand. You can take the doe foot applicator and keep re-dipping it and putting it on the back of your hand. That is all you can really do to resolve that issue. And this is the foundation that has the weird scent. I'm guessing it's either the SPF or perhaps the extracts. It kind of has that La Mer scent to it. If you're familiar with the way the La Mer foundation smells, that complex it has in it, it kind of reminds me of that in a way, but it does go away after you apply it. So if you can take it while you're applying it, it has that scent to it. So it has a couple of cons, but it does look really nice on the skin and it wears well. So there's that. I do like this foundation. It did make the cut. The Can't Stop, Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation. I think that's, yeah, that's the whole name. And it has a similar cheap plasticky top to the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation that just kind of pops off. So this isn't a very good travel friendly foundation in my opinion. There are 45 shades in this foundation, which is fantastic. This gives medium to full coverage. It covers extremely well, but it feels really good on the skin. This foundation out of all of these is one that sets very, very quickly. So if you haven't seen my how to apply Estee Lauder Double Wear without looking cakey video, I just redid that video from a long time ago. I will put a link here if you haven't seen it. This is a foundation I would recommend applying like that in sections and applying in thin layers, because you're not going to have enough time to put it all over your face and then blend it out. It's just going to set way too quickly for that. This is a great foundation if you have oily skin and if you live in a hot, humid climate. I do find that it is sweat proof, but it is lightweight and it is very long wearing. It's not a flat matte. It looks really nice on the skin. It looks great with pores. It's oil controlling. It's a really great medium to full coverage buildable foundation that I was kind of surprised not more people talk about, because I kind of expected it to look very masky and it doesn't. It's really, really beautiful. I don't really wear full coverage foundations a lot, and I didn't put it in my top 3 because I wanted foundations in there that you could really apply very quickly, because on a daily basis, that's what I like to use. This is one that takes a little bit longer to apply, but it's pretty bulletproof. So if that's what you need, this is one that you should really take a look at. Okay, my last two are the last two that are in my top 3. I love both of these, and if you've been following my channel, you probably know what they are and why I love them so much. So this next one, the bottle is gorgeous. I've talked about it in a pretty recent video, and I will link that video. It is my drugstore dupes video, and I compared it to the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. It is the foundation that I have on my face today. This is the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Foundation. There are 15 shades. I mean, the bottle is so pretty. This could be a high-end foundation, and it has a really pretty pump. They really did it right when it came to packaging for sure. This gives kind of a radiant velvety finish, and one that's really great if you do have oily combination skin, because sometimes foundations with those type of finishes tend to make us look oily really quickly, but this one doesn't. It's like the perfect radiant foundation for oily skin, but it's also the perfect radiant foundation for dry or normal skin. It applies quickly. It gives medium buildable coverage. It looks beautiful on the pores. It's skin blurring. It's lightweight. If you like Too Faced Born This Way, but the wear time is a little bit short for you, you would probably like this one because it really does wear nicely throughout the day. I feel like I can wear it for a really long time without a lot of touch-ups at all. This has turned out to be one of my favorite foundations at all, not just from the drugstore, as has the next foundation, which I'll get into in a second. But if you've kind of toyed with looking at this one, you may want to look a little harder. It's just so beautiful. I was surprised at how much I liked this one. I love it. I adore it. I think it's beautiful. My final top drugstore foundation is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless. How many of you knew this was going to be in this video? I know a lot of you probably did. I'm very predictable that way, but I wear this a lot because I feel like it is truly high-end quality in a drugstore bottle for a drugstore price. There are 40 shades, I think, in this foundation. There's also a dry skin version of this as well. So I do love that you have another option if you don't have my skin type. However, even if you're not oily combination, even if you do have normal skin, this isn't a flat matte, and that's why I like it. It's more of a soft matte finish. It applies super easily, and it does give medium to full buildable coverage, or maybe just a little bit more than medium to full. It's not a solid full coverage, but it's, you know, more of a medium to full coverage, but it is buildable and it looks natural. It doesn't look heavy. It doesn't look masky. It doesn't feel heavy either. It never looks cakey. It's beautiful. It lasts all day. It feels weightless. I don't have to blot much at all. It's just a really great no-fail foundation. If I need something to wear during the day, if I need something for nighttime, I just feel like this one kind of does it all. So this one is just one that I've loved for years, and it will just always probably be in my top videos in general, as well as the top drugstore video. It's beautiful. I would love it if they would put a pump on this, because I feel like it gets messy. I'm sure there is a pump that fits it. I just don't have it, so it just does kind of get messy. That is the one drawback to this packaging, is that there is no pump. It's just a screw top. But other than that, I think it's great. I think the price is great, and the product inside could be high-end. You know the drill. I always want to hear recommendations from you guys in the comments. It gives me ideas for things to try, and I always love trying your recommendations. So leave that in the comments for me. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button and become part of the family.